Can't believe we're doing this. You read the title. I've got a giant box full of Jigging Rap tips for you. It's the OG, the original glide jig, glide bait, hard body jigging lure, whatever you want to call it. It's literally the benchmark that others are made off of. Let's jump right in. If you're pitching your Jigging Rap on a specific mark, whether you went over a fish, you saw one on live scope, leave your bail open while that bait drops. If you throw it out there, close your bail instantly, that bait's gonna pendulum back towards the boat and it might not even land near that mark. If you're fishing in snaggy rocks, snip off that front hook. You're less likely to get stuck in the rocks down in the crevice. You're gonna lose less Jigging Raps. Ice fishing, snip off that front hook so it doesn't snag the bottom of the ice when you're trying to reel a fish to the hole. Chrome colors on bright sunshiny days reflect light, really call fish in from a distance. So most people throw their Jigging Raps in just the standard 3700 size boxes, but there's lots of different options out there that work really good. There's companies like Just In Case and Lakewood that actually design boxes for Jigging Raps. You can also use Jigging Spoon ice fishing boxes with the foam, or buy your own foam and put them in with cut little inserts. Put those baits in there. You can grab one at a time. Guess what? They stay put. This one was actually a terminal box designed for hooks, and it holds my number 9s really well without them flopping around. In my opinion, the best all-around Jigging Rap size for walleyes open water, number 7, works year-round, shallow deep. Usually when you hear fluorocarbon leaders, you're thinking 4 foot, 6 foot. Jigging Raps, the absolute longest I would use is like this, 18 inch, even a 12 inch is great. Anything longer than that and your swivel is gonna be going through the tip of the eyelet. You ever thought about adding a little live bait to your Jigging Rap? Maybe a minnow head? Don't do it. Stop. What? No. You don't need it. It actually messes with the action of the bait. You're not gonna get as nice of a darty, fast, quick reaction strike type of action. By far my favorite big fish color is just perch. There's something special about that flashy foil chromy deal. 24 to 28 inch walleyes love it everywhere. This is one I've been really hesitant to talk about for the last few years, but these stickers, they're designed for crankbaits. How come nobody uses them on Jigging Raps besides me and maybe a couple of buddies? Really fun way to add a little color pop, a little flash. I like putting that sticker on the belly like that. When you're ripping the Jigging Rap and it turns upside down on the fall, you get this little flash and then it goes away. Fun tweak. Little known fact, it's not called a jig wrap, it's called a jigging wrap. Sort of like the people who call tulipies tulipies. There isn't a single P in the word tulipy. I feel like we've done a lot, but we've probably only done 10. If I was gonna buy one net for Jigging Rap fishing, get the big rubber nets. Yes, they're heavier, yes, they're clunkier, but Jigging Raps do not get tangled up in them, and it's gonna save you so much frustration and time on the water. Always, always, always use a tiny swivel with Jigging Raps because you're gonna get a lot of line twists with the way that bait darts, but also casting into the wind, it'll twist like a helicopter, eliminates it. You are absolutely going to land more fish that you hook up with mono. That shock absorber, it's less likely for them to tear out, shake the hook off. A little trickier to get used to hooking into them, but once they're pinned, you're gonna boat a lot more. Everybody fishes Jigging Raps better when there's a little music, a little tunage to go to. Helps with the cadence. And the Jigging Rap rolls, and the walleye strikes, bam, bam, bam. You can't use that, you can't use that. I like using a size 0 or 00 VMC crankbait snap because I can quickly change colors. The loop bottom gives this bait a full range of motion, and I can take it off at the end of the day so it's not getting snagged in everything. If you're fishing Leech Lake in northern Minnesota and you don't have a glow green tiger number 9 Jigging Rap, what are you doing? Want to know how to set your drag perfectly for Jigging Rap fishing so you lose less fish? This is for you braid fellas and fellettes. When you're snapping that bait, when you snap as hard as you can, your drag should click 1 or 2 times so that you're right on the tipping point of if there's any resistance on the hook set, you'll then have that give. You'll lose less fish. Gear ratios and reels are all the rage in bass fishing, but get yourself a high-speed spinning reel for Jigging Raps because you're gonna be able to pick up more line, get better hook sets, less missed opportunities. Most spinning reels are a 5-to-1, but nowadays you can get 6 2-to-1s, 7-to-1s, 8-to-1s. Higher the better. Fighting marlin, that thing's gonna fly out like a 1-ounce tungsten. Okay, deep sea it in. I love jigging raps kind of on the sparse weed edges and even pitching into pockets I see on down imaging, but anything more than that, don't try it. Use plastics. Don't throw these in weeds. You want ranch or Caesar? Obviously a jigging rap works late summer, fall. It's almost tough to beat, but don't not have it tied on in the spring too. In our local walleye leagues, there's been numerous times where it was won in May. Jigging raps in deep water, you just never know. Really important thing to remember is to always rip your jigging rap on a slack line. And what I mean is drop your rod tip a little bit and then rip it so that your line has a little bit of give in it. If your line is tight the whole time, your bait's gonna be more glidey and predictable, I guess. And the whole point of a jigging rap is that reaction bite, to have that bait fly past their face and have them just commit. When you have a little bit of a slack line by lowering your tip and then hitting it, it really changes directions, and that's where things get squirrely. Look at that cute little bugger. There's a time and a place for the smaller number 5 jigging raps for walleyes. Early spring, kind of that late spring, early summer transition. I love pitching these up in shallower water, 12 to 17 foot before the weeds really grow up. They eat it. Oh yeah, have you ever let a buddy borrow one? They leave it on their rod when they leave at the end of the day, and they know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. If you're gonna buy one color for ice fishing with a jigging rap, Helsinki shad is your guy. Works all around. Water's usually a little bit clear in the winter. They eat it everywhere. Ooh, thinking about our younger years. Something that some days can be the deal. Can't explain why, but we call it the double pump, where you do like a double snap and let it drop versus the single snap. And it's a crazy erratic action. When you snap it up, that bait shoots up, and then on that second pump, it really dives off to the side. So don't get too comfortable, play around. When I'm in search mode, driving around with a big motor, and I see a pot of fish that I'm just gonna instantly throw back, put the motor in neutral, I give that bait 3 pumps. If they don't bite, I'm on to the next scan, scan, scan. Great little tweak to add some flesh to that jigging rap. VMC bladed hybrid treble really kills it on aggressive bites, sunshiny days for a little extra flash, or if you're seeing lots of tiny bait fish on the down imaging in the water column. I've had days where we've had the same bait on, but one person had that bladed hybrid treble and it outfished 3 to 1, so you definitely got to play around with it. So you can see from a distance any boat that's fishing a jigging rap on the water, right? Giant 3-5 foot rips, you're really moving that bait trying to get a reaction bite. When you ice fish with a jigging rap, slow everything way down. The biggest rips I would do is maybe a 1 foot, and it's not that real fast snap, it's just more of a lift, let it glide down. Lift, let it glide down, rock it in place 2-3 inches, just slow everything down. They don't have the same metabolism and they're not willing to chase from a distance. If you're fishing a lake that has rusty crayfish, like say Lake of the Woods, any lake with crayfish, reds and oranges are the deal. They look just like crayfish when they do that retreat, when they're getting chased and they kick up as you're snapping them off bottom. Anytime I'm snapping and I get what I feel like is not a very good hook set, or it's in an awkward position, I always crank up a couple times and do the double pump and just rebury those hooks. Feathered trebles, X-Rap trebles are not just for jigging spoons. Another fun tweak for the jigging rap. I really like it in cold water when you're not doing as aggressive of rips and snaps and you're fishing it a little bit slower. Also just a different look on lakes where everybody's throwing a jigging rap and they've seen a million of them. Something to set you out from the rest of the competition. Obviously jigging raps catch fish all year round, but you can't not have it tied on from the end of September through October. There's no better way to catch walleyes, and they scarf it. Our local walleye leagues, even kind of regional tournaments, are always won with a 1-2 punch. Somebody in the boat's jigging rap fishing, the other person is dragging a creek chub or redtail. You never know which day it's gonna be the deal, and usually it's 50-50, and usually the kicker fish come on the J-Rap. My 2 absolute favorite colors in dirty stained water with say clarity of less than 5 feet, pearl white and parrot. Did you know the jigging raps have a shorter, fatter cousin called the flat jig? It's actually designed for super deep water and in current to keep that bait down there. But there are pros like say Dylan Nussbaum who love using these in shallow, skinny water. It's just a different action. It's more glidey, less darty. You can get up to 8 or 10 feet out to the side with a rip on this because of how broad they are and the way they grab water. But if you're looking for an ultra deep option or fast current, flat jigs. So why are jigging raps and flat jigs so good at catching walleyes? Well, because they're basically like a mouse trap. They snag everything, and I didn't set this up. I got hooked, but it's not really past the barb, so it should come out easy, but sticky sharp hooks, walleyes can't not get caught in the face with them. Ow! Ooh, it went in deeper. Okay, we got her. Not bad, not bad. Handle with care. So back in the day when jigging raps first started getting popular, it was all vertical. You grab fish, you drop straight down and rip. We have zebra mussels nowadays, pressured fish. More people are fishing jigging raps. It's just the fish are smarter, water's clear. You're gonna catch way more fish if you just pitch it 25, 30, maybe even 40 feet away from the boat just to get a little ways away. You're gonna catch way more. If you're just getting into jigging rap fishing, strongly recommend starting with braid while you kind of get that learning curve. It's just so much easier to hook up with fish. You don't have to be as on point. If I was gonna buy one jigging rap color to fish anywhere and everywhere, glow yellow perch. Looks natural, but also has that white glow belly that stands out in dirtier water. They eat it everywhere. It's also my favorite for numbers. Somewhere in your system you need a shock absorber to lose less fish so they don't tear the hook and get off halfway up. Happens all the time. So let's say you have a medium action rod. You want to start using it for jigging rap fishing. I would use monofilament because medium's a little bit stouter, a little bit stiffer. There's more stretch, more give in monofilament to absorb that. Let's say you have a medium light rod you want to use for jigging raps. Throw some braid on there instead. No stretch in the line, a little bit wimpier rod. That's what's gonna absorb those head shakes, keep those fish pinned. This thing right here, this is your friend. You do not fish jigging raps without graphing fish first. Whether it's on side imaging, you got a bunch of shadows on the edge of the weeds, or you run over them with 2D or DI. I don't fish a jigging rap unless I know I'm fishing fish. All right, if you've got two people in the boat fishing a jigging rap, both use different colors. One person runs maybe a natural color, one person a brighter, gaudier, more reaction bite color. As soon as one guy or girl goes, say 2 fish, maybe 3 fish up on the other, then you both switch to a natural or you both switch to a gaudy color. Number 9s, baby! In the fall, bump up to those number 9s. The prey has had all summer to grow bigger. Fish are putting on the feed bag for winter. Go big or go home. Number 9! One mistake I see a lot of people making is getting way up here with their snaps and their jigging strokes on jigging raps. What happens when you get a bite and you're way up here? You run out of real estate to set the hooks. So stay choked up, keep that rod tip close to the water so that when you get hit, you've got a lot of room to move line and get that hook buried. Match the hatch, color, and profile. When you're driving around graphing fish, dropping on their heads, it's important to know which side of the boat your transducer is on. Mine's on this side, and when you think about it, if you graph a pot of fish and you drop over here, that's 7 feet away that you could be off and that bait wouldn't be going right in front of that fish's face. Always keep an emergency number 3 jigging rap in your walleye box because you never know when you're gonna grab a pot of summertime crappies on down imaging. So if you're newish to jigging rap fishing, something that you might not know yet is you're usually not going to feel the bite. Occasionally, sure, but I'd say at least 95% of the time, that fish is gonna just chase it down and grab it, pin it to bottom. As you're lowering your rod tip on a slack line, you're not gonna feel it. You're gonna go back to pump that next time, and your rod tip is just gonna stay at the water. My go-to color on Mille Lacs Lake in central Minnesota, home of 10 zillion walleyes. They just don't show up in the net data. Regular perch, greenback, orange belly. Something about it catches big ones, can look like perch, can also shine where there's crayfish. Where did you go, my walleye? Ba-na-na-na. I wanna know. Whoever's on net duty has to be on point because you only usually have one shot to get that fish scooped up. When they come up top and they thrash, the weight of that bait gets spit so easily, so be on point. But don't jab, never jab. When you're fighting a fish, it's so important to keep constant pressure, almost horse that fish in. If they want to run, let them run. But the second that that rod isn't loaded up, they're way more likely to be able to thrash and spit the bait. So keep them loaded. Jigging raps really excel in clear water because they're a visual bait. It doesn't have that vibration and rattle of, say, a rip and wrap. It's all visual. Clear water, they kill it. Most people like to use an 8 or 10 pound fluorocarbon leader. I bump up to a 12 because you're less likely to get that bait wrapped up in your hook and have it foul when there's a fish looking at it. Custom colors are not just for crankbaits and ripping wraps. Jigging Raps too, baby. Head spin, fruit punch, tons of options. Anytime you're walleye fishing, you always have to have a jigging rap within an arm's reach, whether it's from your tiller, your wheel, even if you're not planning on jigging rap fishing that day. It's the best way to mark a fish, see a fish, and get a bait straight down in front of their face faster than anything. Everybody's heard of walleye chop, right? The best walleye days are windy, overcast, gloomy. Think again, some of my best days ever anywhere have been with a jigging rap when it's glass calm, bluebird skies. There's just something about it. Don't overlook it. A really great fall spot for jigging raps is humps the top off at say 25 to 35 feet of water and are surrounded by deep water. They load up in the fall, big fish and numbers of fish. Jigging raps are stupid good at making fish bite. Probably the most efficient technique there is out there, but don't force the bite. And what I mean by that is a lot of the times we go out and we have this game plan of how we're gonna catch fish that day. I'm gonna go out with jigging raps all day, run and gun, right? Well, if you're fishing solo marks, doubles, triples, and you don't get bit in like 8 or 10 schools of fish or whatever, like that's fine. But if you're graphing a pot of fish, a school, 10 fish, 12 fish, 20 fish, and you're working them for 15 minutes with a jigging rap, don't catch a fish, call an audible. Pull spinners through them, use a slip bobber, whatever, and it goes for anything that you use. Be willing to adjust their killer in the right position, right time frame, but don't force it. Live scope plus jigging rap equals cheat code. Lethal, not fair. We should probably get out and do a video, huh? Live scoping with a J-Rap, calling your shots and sniping them from 70 feet away. Stay tuned. Okay, I am actually sweating now. That was a lot of tips. I hope you got something out of this, whether you're a beginner or more advanced. Some sort of nugget that you can add to your fishing arsenal and get out in the water and catch more walleyes and jigging raps. If you like this video, you want to see more like it, comment down below. Let me know what you want to see next. Let me know what you liked about this video. Let me know what you hated about this video. And as always, subscribe so that you can see this solid 4 out of 10 face on your YouTube. What? Just thanks for watching.
Are people always stealing your Bitcoins?
Always. Always.